Good morning. How is everyone doing? Okay, today we're going to teach on don't let life blind you. Don't let life blind you. And we're going to be in John chapter 9. It's going to be the chapter in which we reveal this revelation. So many of us have to understand that we have to come to a mindset and we have to come to an agreement that everything that's happened to us up until now, as you listen to this message, it all was by God's design. All by God's design. And what happens, because many of us don't have the relationship that we need or require to understand God's plan for our life, we often mistake situations, circumstances, and and fallouts as being the devil. But yet, oftentimes, it's not the devil. See, the problem with living a Christian life, you can't automatically assume that when things happen to you, that God is against you or that Satan may be coming up against you. It's because a lot of time when we're not praying God's will and we don't see what we want or something happens to us, uh, we begin to feel discouraged. Begin to feel unloved or unwanted by God. But we got to understand, we got to have a mindset that when we look at things that happen, whether good or bad in our life, we got to make sure that we apply it to the scripture. And then we got to look at ourselves and make sure we're not just getting what we want or what we think we deserve or in the time we want, how we want it, and why we want it. So here we go into John chapter 9. And this chapter, it talks about the blind man who was blind from birth. So as we go through this, maybe we'll understand why things happen to us. John chapter 9, verse 1 says, Now as Jesus passed by, he saw a man who was blind from birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? See, what we got to understand, a lot of us, we were born into ignorance. We didn't know God's will. We didn't know God's way. We didn't know that this God thing and these God things existed. So here, what we see is that a lot of you cannot fathom who God is because you are opposed by blindness, which means if it ain't a person that you like, no matter what the truth is, you won't believe it. If it's not what God gave you, because what you want, and God try to show you you're not ready for it yet or you don't want it, you don't believe it because it's what you want. So we in this season that as we try to get into this place of rest in God, we cannot oppose truth. We can't oppose truth. So what we got to understand that many people teach on generational curses and all that, and that's true to a point. But what happens when what you're dealing with was caused by God? See, it said a man they said, who sinned, his mama or his parents. See, a lot of things we deal with are not necessarily generational. That's why when you go to the doctor now, they're gonna ask you any history of this in your family, any history of that in your family, and see what they're doing. They following a blueprint. We can't follow a blueprint in this season. See, I can't. That's why I try to tell people I can't look at the bad things that didn't happen in my life and not look at the good things. Because whether it was bad, whether it was good, whether I had a knowledge of God or whether I didn't have a knowledge of God, I would always sit down and question myself, why would I do that? And in getting that in me, even before I heard God's voice, now hearing God's voice, now I say, God, why I do that? God, I don't want to do that. Why I'm doing this? And his word often tells me, you'll want to do right, but wrong follow. Do you know how much wrong I done while still trying to teach right? The question remains, is I still ain't giving up on God. See, you can try to attack me with what you know that may be the truth, what you know that may be false, what you know that you lead out of something. But guess what? At the end of the day, wrong or right, many people say the same thing. That boy that got a relationship with God. Can they say that about you? See, I don't let obstacles stop me and get bit. See, watch this. I got a divorce, right? You know, her words, why I think you should leave. I ain't had nowhere to go. I've been taking care of y'all for 9 years. Time I leave, the locks change. Let's watch this now. I would have never did a person like that. I would say, hey, this ain't working. I'm gonna give you such and such days to find you somewhere to go, and then I'm gonna go file for a divorce and this and that. That's me. But this a person kicking me out, but then you want me to pay rent on something you said I have to leave. Man, come on now. Selfishness. And that's why a lot of y'all can't see that what you went through may be from God because you selfish. Well, how am I selfish? Because you waiting on God to punish them. You waiting to beat them up. You waiting for them to say something wrong. You waiting to get away from them. See, anything that you leave and it still affects you, you ain't delivered from it. So they say, who's sin? See, what that statement means is we can't do nothing for him because his mama or daddy sinned. And see, a lot of people that's in religion think they can't help people because they think it's generational. See, that's why I try to teach people with an open mind and try to tell as much as I can because whoever I might have to mention, I just want to make sure I'm just letting people know my responses to things when they always didn't go my way. I ain't cuss nobody out, although I felt like it. I ain't did nobody wrong, although I felt like it. So, what many of you going through is because of that one key word. God allowed it to happen. See, The disciples in this situation, they remind me of Job's friends. See, Job's friend couldn't see past his situation to know that deliverance would come. And see, for some of you, you got to look past that situation that gets you angry at a drop of a hat. You got to get past that individual who makes you mad and who you try to avoid every time you see them. See, sometimes the condition you in is caused by you because you refuse to acknowledge that you the problem for what you're going through. See, a lot of you won't be angry if you really forgive. A lot of you wouldn't be struggling if you get rid of bitterness. But do what you want to do. Verse 3, it said, answered, neither this man nor his parents sinned, but the works of God should be revealed in him. I must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. The night is coming when no one can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. See, the reason a lot of people can't accept what I say to them, because I try to make sure they look at themselves. See, you want to fault your man for cheating. You want to fault your woman for cheating. But guess what? Maybe you cheating on God. See, y'all do know God will use people in your life. The things that you love, the things that you cherish, he will use that in the life to show you how you doing him. And you got men and women and men mad because when they walk around and they in places and the man or the woman did them wrong and that old nasty dog cheated on me. I ain't good enough. What he thinking? See, God is trying to tell you, I want your all in all. See, but y'all don't want to look at it that way. See, I look at the little Brianna girl. You know, she is not talking about God now. But if this man treated you so bad, all of a sudden you went to showing your breasts, wearing tight clothes, got that monkey showing, shaking your butt, and then you with another guy. Where where is your point of reference that you truly heal? And a lot of us, we think because the next person makes us feel good that we heal from the last person. Some of y'all got 8 unhealed spirits in you. Come from 8 different men. Now watch this. 8 different men that probably will say they slept with 50 women. 8 times 5 is 450. You got about 450 spirits in you that you need to get rid of, and you mad at somebody else cause they won't do what you want to do. This stuff deeper than what we think. So here, Jesus said, he said his mama and dad ain't did nothing. This has to happen so I can happen. See, you got to understand. I know it hurt. I know you don't want to think about it. You was raped for a reason. Molested for a reason. Because when God deliver you, you can deliver somebody else. But if you still mad, You still looking for retribution. You still can't stay in the sight of being in them. You ain't ready for nobody else. You ain't dealt with what you dealt with. See, that's why I say I'm never mad at what nobody did to me. Because good or bad, all of it pushed me toward God. When it's good, I'm thanking God. When it's bad, I'm thanking God. Well, why you gonna thank God when it's bad? Cause it could have been worse. Cause I couldn't have seen it. Cause I wouldn't got the revelation. See, when you come to a mindset that let's think about the most traumatic thing that ever happened in your life. God allowed it. He allowed it. But what we do, we mad at the people, a person, or thing that God used to allow it. See, they teach y'all to trust in God when y'all want something. But why you can't trust in God to heal your hurt, to heal your pain? See, watch this. And we're going to teach this in the class because I see it in the people around me. You can't truly release a word from God, and I know you ain't healed from your hurt. I see it all through it. That's what gets you in your motion, and you don't fully hear the revelation of God. We don't deal with that. See, I pay attention. See, me being me, I'm always in teaching mode for the most part. I say certain things just to see a response. I reveal certain things to give an answer. And oftentimes it's revealed how, see, it might be the right answer to you, but it's revealing the spirit that you still harbor. See, the reason the church ain't grown and we really ain't seen the manifestation of God is because you got certain leaders who really can't see in the spirit, who really can't discern the spirit. That's why they preach you with these hype me up messages like old Pastor Mike and Jamal Bryant. I was looking at the thing the other day, came across TikTok. Ricky Smiley was over there. Now he done made himself a fool, but he want to sell his new book. So he go over to Jamal Bryant, and yeah, he up there promoting his book. What does the Bible say about making merchandise of his people? The only time you want to go to New Birth because you want them 20,000 members to buy a book. So that's 20,000 or whatever over that time, whatever the book cost. We'll just say 15. You went over there for money. He didn't go over there for the glory of God. He didn't go over there to talk about identity in God. And they had it on the screen just as big. You went over there to sell products. Notice how subtle Satan is, but understand how dumb our leaders are. I wonder how much money he done donated over there. Yeah, while you over there selling your book. I wonder how many times you've been over there helping them feed the homeless. How many times you've been out there in the neighborhood. See, you got to watch people who proclaim the gospel of God, but you never see them operate in the God. See, yeah, watch this. Yeah, he come on his radio show. He do his little 5 minute spiritual stuff, but it ain't his radio show. because Tom Joyner said, don't play no rap music on my station. Tom Joyner gone. He's still playing no rap music. Y'all got to be careful of saying some a blessing, but it got limitation. Anybody know Ricky Smiley? He like rap music. When you're around him, you hear it. He was on the radio when I was in Birmingham. That's where he came from. That's where he grew up in. But in order to be elevated, you had to take away an important part of who you are. So in this season, if y'all want to be elevated, you got to take away that important part of who you are. You know, that pride, arrogance, fear, lack of confidence, low self-esteem, anger, flesh, carnality. See, my fault. That sorority, that fraternity, that Mason sign, them 100 Black Men of America. You got to be careful of saying you're doing the work of God and you got more works of the world. See, God ain't playing in this season. It says he gonna look for true worshipers. We ain't talking about the ones on Sunday, Wednesdays, and conferences. We talking about 7 days a week. In some way, your life is being validated that God in your life. So here Jesus says, I must work. I find it strange that I be around people that I know that been called to preach, got license to preach, whatever you want to call it, but they ain't preaching. Why you ain't working? That's a sad indictment on you. See, Christ didn't just have the disciples around him. He had the disciples working. See, you got to understand being a workman, that's a well-earned title. I'd rather have a title of workman than serving any day. That means I'm moving. That means I'm doing. And the work I'm doing is serving. So the reason some of you can't advance in God is because of your moral issues. The stuff you do when ain't nobody around. The stuff you say when ain't nobody around. The way you live when ain't nobody around. God sees everything. Why you think if he want me to say something about what somebody doing, I tell you what you doing? I ain't no fly in the wall. I don't be wanting to get into what y'all doing. But because I have to do the work of the one who sent me, my job is to make sure that you line it up with the principles of God. So after that, he said, the night is coming when no one can work. See, you got to understand, one of the prophetic words I gave you, I'm talking about opportunities. You got to understand the opportunity to preach the gospel as freely and liberally as we do now. In a couple of years, you ain't gonna have that. You ain't gonna have it. And what's gonna happen is that now you ain't gonna preach no more because ain't nobody see you. Can't nobody hear you. Can't nobody give you a donation. But then that shows your heart. You only preaching based on what you can get. So he goes on to verse 6. He said, when he had said these things, he spat on the ground and made clay with the saliva And he anointed the eyes of the blind man with the clay. And he said to him, go wash in the pool of Siloam. Siloam is interpreted in the Hebrew word as sent. So he went and washed and came back seeing. So we got to understand that what really happened. Christ used an unusual method to cause deliverance. See, we got to understand that when God made man, he made him for the dust of the ground. But it also said he had to breathe in him the breath of life. God's breath has moisture. See, he had to let this blind man know you ain't seeing you ain't seeing because I ain't want you to be seen. I sent you here blind so I can open your eyes. That's like old John Wick or what's the name over the Continental. He used to tell John Wick, I haven't done it because I haven't allowed it to done it. See, that's something. When you allow your life to be your life, but you allow God to use unusual things to give you an interpretation of who he really is, give you a sample of what he can really do. So he spat on the ground. See, I guess he was making them over again. That's what the old folks used to say. What we need to do and understand is that he used a different method of allowing this man to see than the last man to see. See, people, when they get comfortable when seeing something, oftentimes they can mimic what they see. See, that's why a lot of times, that's what, if you didn't know, that's why I teach how I teach. I say certain things to turn people off. I need to turn them off because oftentimes they just come looking to see what new revelation they can get and go back to their church and preach. Y'all know how they do it. They look for something new I done said that they can go back and say, well, I've been praying and God showed me this. Or they be on social media and they be saying stuff and they'll come on somebody. That ain't the way to happen. They'll say some revelation out and said, I be watching. I just don't say nothing. So what we see here, Jesus had not only compassion on the creation, he had passion on the person who had a disability. See, how can you say you're a child of God and y'all run around here calling people retarded? Calling people bipolar. Why you don't deliver them before you talk about them? Calling people narcissistic and try to use scripture to justify it. Yeah, the Bible says a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. But guess what? If you put the right amount of God in them, they become stable. He said, go wash in the pool of Siloam. See, Jesus went to the blind man. The blind man that come to him. See, a lot of people won't appreciate spitting. They think that's disgusting. Y'all think the way the gospel is preached disgusting. Y'all think the gospel inadequate. Man, that's so sad to see that woman, Tiffany Montgomery, over there on TikTok, and it's her and about five more, most of them women. And the woman was just giving a prophecy like God told her. Now, Tiffany on there say anybody on social media that calls me a false prophet, God sending divine judgment to you. And it and what's getting me, the world sitting there laughing. They don't know who is who. That one said God told them that. That was it. Now watch what they're saying. Now, if God heal all of them, well, who gonna be the prophet then? I mean, they steady on there speaking judgment, condemnation, and death. Y'all know I'm enjoying it though. It's a video out there. I told y'all I was coming. I said prophets versus prophet. I'm sitting there laughing. Go Google it. It's on one of them videos. I don't know which one, but I know I see it. Because God told me. And here I am. Now, the battle is, even though it ain't number five of them, you got other prophets siding with this one, other prophets siding with that one, other prophets siding that. That ain't nothing but a spirit of division. But see, all people got to do is see how Tiffany Montgomery did Matthew Stevenson when she was at his church. You reap what you sow. You try to tear down that man ministry because he wouldn't let you do what you want to do. The girl said she has a nasty spirit. The girl ain't lying. Go on Amazon and read them sex books that's written by Tiffany Montgomery. She's still selling them. How can you be sold out to God and still feeding the flesh of man? The girl ain't lying. But see, that's why I sit around and I evaluate and look at everything because I know everything. I just don't say that. I ain't got no dog in the fight. So we see with every deliverance, it's come instructions. You just can't block nobody on social media and say, ooh, I'm delivered. You can't block no phone number. Ooh, I'm over there. See, what you fail to address oftentimes is what keep you in bondage. See, y'all like to hold y'all feelings in, you know, and then all of a sudden, it's like mama used to say when I used to get in trouble, I'm gonna whoop you for old and new, boy, when I get talk to you. You just keep on. I'm taking notes. See, when you finally want to blow, can't nobody control you. Y'all do know I used to be like that. That's how I know it's in you. But I had to get delivered too. And see, the reason a lot of your ministry gifts are not expanding is in order for to truly embrace it, you got to be delivered. See, that's why I don't tell you, I don't care about what. See, if I was Tiffany, whether they were right or wrong, like I be saying, I ain't addressing nothing. Whatever you say, believe it. You know why? That's my stance on it. Because God already knew what I was going to do before I did it and when I'm going to do it. He done took care of it. Do what you want to do. Say what you want to say. And that's your fault. Because with knowing God, watch this. Jesus said, so the works of God can be shown. So watch this. For many of us, what we've already done, if Christ already knew it, if God already knew it, he already forgave you for it. So when y'all bring it up, it's new to you, but it's old to God. That's why he said, don't be lying, backstabbers, and busybodies. Come with something you know. So when he said, go to the pool of Siloam, that meant the sent one is sending one. I'm sending one back to you, God. That's why I try to get people to see their flaws, because I want to send you back to God so he can get a look at you and say, okay, they ready. He went and watched. See, watch this. How is it a blind man that can't see? He done put mud on his eyes, but he say, go wash. It doesn't say people helped him. It doesn't see Jesus led him. See, it's one thing to be naturally blind. It's another thing to be spiritually blind. Because see, he believes so much in what Christ said, his spirit gonna lead him the right way anyway. And a lot of you, your spirit nasty. And you know your spirit nasty. But you want to talk about how nasty somebody else's spirit is. It said he came back seeing, which means he recovered his sight. A lot of us don't have sight of what God wants us to do. We don't have sight of how hurt we really is, because for us to see ourselves as who we really are, we'll be disgusted of who we are. You know how many things I done that I was disgusted with myself? But I had to see myself at my lowest so I can understand why would God raise me up. See, y'all spend too much time putting on designer and makeup, and you really can't see yourself. But in order to really operate in the things of God, you don't have to see yourself for who you are. So that's why life is blinding a lot of you. Because you don't want to call yourself whorish, but you get mad if I call you a whore. You don't want me to call you a liar, but you don't want to see yourself as a liar. You don't want me to call you a prostitute, but you're prostitute. See, we got to stop making up words to agree with our sins. We, we just got to call it like we see it. See, when I was out horn, God, I'm a whole help me. I ain't say, God, please forgive me because I done messed up again. No, God, I'm a whole help me. See, y'all, you want to lighten the load. Verse 8, therefore the neighbors and those who had previously seen that he was blind said, is not this he who sat in bed? Some say this is he. Others says he is like him. He said, I am he. Therefore they said to him, how were your eyes open? He answered and said, a man called Jesus made clay and anointed my eyes and said to me, go to the pool of Siloam and wash. So I went and washed, and I received sight. Then they said to him, where is he? He said, I do not know. See, some people can't accept me because they can't accept God changed me. But notice What the blind man said. All he said was Jesus made clay. He didn't tell them that the clay he made came from spit. See, oftentimes when God heals you, you don't have to tell the disgusting details you got to go through to get healed. And see, that's why a lot of us, how we are now. That's why I say I don't tell everything I done went through. But if I have to, I will. If he want me to. I ain't got to tell everything about my marriage if I don't to. Because people could assume all they want. It's three people know the truth. Me, her, and him. And see, I ain't got to lie. So when I say something, I ain't lying. How you know I ain't lying? Because anybody that know me for 20 years, when I do something like that, I done told y'all what happened to me. I already know. So a lot of times, I can't help but tell the truth, no matter how it makes me feel, no matter how it makes me look. So Jesus healed him, and now, guess what? He never seen him again. The reason a lot of us can't get healed is because we under the wrong leader, we under the wrong church, we listen to the wrong prophet, and we want to heal ourselves. See, you got to sit down and you got to evaluate your life. And some of the things that we doing that we say enjoy, that we enjoying to have life, that ain't God's will. So for many of you, you need to turn from what you're doing, trying to call wrong right, because it ain't right.